Nikkei Asia News Roundup
with Jada and Brian. Welcome to the Nikkei Asia News Roundup with your hosts, Jada and Brian.
bringing you the latest updates and insights on the dynamic world of Asia and more.
Now let's delve into the headlines. This program is brought to you by Nikkei.
Small Chinese drone battery makers, pushed to the brink of bankruptcy by fierce domestic competition, have found a lifeline in the Russia-Ukraine war as the conflict, now in its fourth year, looks set to drag on.
Audrey Tang, Taiwan's cyber ambassador, warned that the peak of Asia's political polarization is yet to come, and that the region must use digital technology to bolster public trust in democracy.
Rice traders in India, the world's biggest supplier of the staple, are paring back their forecasts of record exports as buyers struggle to take on the glut of rice unleashed by the lifting of the country's export curbs.
South Korea's new government under President Lee Jae-myung is eager to issue won-backed stablecoins, digital tokens pegged to traditional currencies, hoping to nurture the country's digital asset market and give it a prominent place globally.
From priority immigration at airports to subsidies for charter flights, Thailand is implementing a series of measures to bring back Chinese tourists, whose numbers have declined more than 40% over the past few months, and try to revitalize the country's lackluster travel industry.
Canadian retailer Alimentation Couche-Tard has called it quits after a year-long siege to take over Japan's iconic 7 & I holdings. Market experts see the withdrawal as an invitation for activist investors to step up their campaigns to push for more change in corporate Japan. Now moving on to the next segment.
Escape to Australia. Tuvaluans pin hopes on the world's first climate visa. Tuvalu, consisting of 9 atolls and islands only 2 meters above sea level, faces risks of permanent inundation from rising ocean levels. Over half of Funafuti, the capital, could be regularly flooded by tidal surges by 2050, according to the United Nations Development Program. Now, many people in the country are hoping to acquire the world's first climate migration visa that will allow 280 Tuvaluans to move every year to Australia, where they will have the right to live, study, and work without restrictions. The most recent available official data show that as of mid-July, 5,157 applications had been submitted, accounting for nearly half of the small Pacific Island nation's population. The permanent residency pathway is a key feature of the Felipili Union. Under the pact, Australia is to support Tuvalu in adapting to climate change and to provide assistance during natural disasters. In return, Australia is to have veto power over any security arrangements the island nation seeks to establish with other countries. Tuvalu is one of the 3 Pacific Island countries that have formal diplomatic ties with Taiwan instead of China. Beijing has made significant strides in recent years, expanding its regional influence by striking security and policing pacts with Pacific Island countries, putting the region into a permanent state of contest, according to Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong.
Malaysia's Anwar unveils $500 million in aid to address cost of living concerns. The Malaysian government has unveiled a slew of relief measures, including 2 billion ringgit or $500 million in cash assistance for adults and lower fuel prices to address cost of living worries. Announcing the programs in a televised speech this week, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim said the higher cost of living is a pressing issue, even though the country's inflation has eased in recent months. Cost of living remains a pressing challenge. Although overall inflation in June 2025 is at 1.1%, the lowest in 52 months, food prices still exceed average inflation, he explained. adding that the country's economic foundation remains stable amid impending impacts from U.S. tariffs. According to the announcement, all Malaysian citizens age 18 and above will receive a one-off 100 ringgit payment, or about $23 in cash aid, to be spent on essential goods between August 31st and December 31st. UNRWA's relief measures come at a time of growing concern over the impact of tariffs by U.S. President Donald Trump. The opposition front is planning to hold a rally against UNRWA on Saturday due to the rising cost of living and the expansion of taxes.
And now for news highlights. Today, we are sharing a couple of Nikkei Asia's most well-read stories in the last few days.
Okay, and we are looking at the top 10 ranking, and it seems like a lot of Japan election stories.
Yes, because there was an election. It was
Yes.
just last Sunday.
Yeah, we came out of an upper house election. We actually spoke a little bit about it in our last podcast, and what may happen. But at Nikkei Asia, we had a election blog running on Sunday that was very popular, and obviously a lot of post follow-up analysis stories have been read well. But the main point is that main topic, I guess everybody is focusing on, is that the ruling coalition really didn't do too well.
Yeah, the takeaway I got from it is that the results were within expectations, but right on the edge of what those expectations are, and that is the ruling coalition has lost its majority.
Yes, and a lot of parties surprisingly made strong gains. One of it was a right-wing party called Sanseito, so one of our stories on that have ranked in, it's called, the headline is Japanese First Party rocked by suspicions of Russian interference. So a lot of...
If I recall, there were predictions it would get 10 seats or so, and it actually got...
Over 20?
Yep, yeah, a lot more than people
Yes.
were even predicting.
Yeah.
So people are paying attention to that to see what comes of that.
Yes, and then also this week we've seen a lot of stories involving Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba as well, because of his party really coming out as sort of a defeat from the vote. A lot of reports were saying that he will resign, step down possibly by the end of August, but he has denied such reports.
Well, yeah, he's denied such reports, but just 2 days ago there was no report, so it's changing pretty fast, but he's giving himself a month or so to quote-unquote evaluate the situation.
So
that's very much up in the air right now.
Yes. I'm sure we will be writing more stories on that. Another kind of Japan story, a little more fun, I guess, story is about marriages.
Particularly marriages, international marriages. And in particular to that,
Yeah.
Japanese women marrying South Korean men.
Yeah. So apparently the rate of marriages between such couples have grown significantly over the past decade or so.
Yeah, it's risen in the past decade, and the trend has changed where we're saying Japanese women marrying South Korean men, whereas the ratio of Japanese men marrying South Korean women is just a tenth of the size.
Okay.
In terms of recent marriages. And so there's a question of what has changed, or what's the appeal, or what's going on with international relations these days. And a lot of it is soft power of dramas, K-pop, but there's of course more to it than that. You can't just base a marriage off of a TV show that you watched once, hopefully.
Yeah.
So the article explores that and talks to people who are have been married recently or are getting married. So it's an interesting read.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting that it said that the cultural barriers are sort of have been lowered because Japanese women are more exposed to this Hallyu Korean K-pop wave, so they understand more of the South Korean culture, and it's not so difficult marrying into a South Korean household, which I thought was very interesting. Yeah. But other than that, we were kind of discussing behind the scenes about our summer plans.
Summer plans of what to do with the vacation time, and maybe escaping the heat or maybe escaping the city. And when I think of nature, I don't really think of Singapore.
No, it's more of like a casino and what else? A city. I mean,
It's a
city
city.
state.
I mean, every picture you ever see of it is skyscrapers or highly developed areas. But Singapore does have its pockets of nature. And there are resorts there that are being built up and becoming popular.
Yes. So this story that's ranked high is called Singapore's New Resort Getaways Blend Comfort and Nature. It's written by our Singapore correspondent, actually. And
Did they get free samples of the lodgings?
I hope so. But it's introducing a couple of resorts. One is by the famous Banyan Group in Singapore, and they just opened their first hotel in April. And it's really interesting because you can stay in, obviously, normal family rooms, they call it, but you can also stay in tree houses. So these are elevated, and it's a cabin. It's an elevated cabin with the view of the reservoir, and it's shaped like a bean pods.
I was on the edge until you mentioned that, and my inner child just came out. I want to go to Singapore to live in a treehouse now.
I know that'd be an awesome summer experience, I think. Another one, and it's kind of goes into Singapore competing with other more famous resorts in the area, obviously, because when you think of summer vacation resorts, Bali is the first one that comes to my mind.
Bali, various parts of Thailand.
Yeah, Phuket. Yeah. So they seem to be competing, and it'd be really interesting to try to go there. I've never been to Singapore, but it'd be fun to go.
Yeah, about a month ago we were talking about how the airport is expanding and how the airport has sort of become a destination in its own right. So we're doing a very good job of wanting to go to Singapore someday.
Yes.
And that brings us to the close of today's episode.
We look forward to having you join up again for the next edition of the Nikkei Asia News Roundup.
Stay informed, stay curious. Until next time, I'm Jada.
And I'm Brian. See you again, and take care. This program is brought to you by Nikkei.